Yapping Fever.
Hello, welcome to Yapping Fever, the podcast about all things 20s, careers, dreams, chaos, growth, and the realness of adulting. I'm your host Tamara, and let's get into today's yap. Hi guys, we're back for the second episode of this year. How exciting. And today I want to unpack the topic of should you be selfish or selfless in your 20s? I think it's a really important conversation to have, and I feel like in your 20s is when you hear it a lot. I feel like I hear the term, your 20s are your selfish years. So like, eat it up. It's the only time in your life where you can be as selfish as you want. Why I also hear the other end of it, like you need to be more selfless. Like, why aren't you more of a people pleaser? And I just want to unpack it with you today. However, before we get into the main part of this episode, I do want to give you my creative recommendation. This week, I am recommending the TV show Ponies, which is currently out on Binge. This TV show is so good. It is actually incredible. I know it's only January of 2026, but I already think for me personally, this TV show could be one of my favorites for the entire year. The acting is impeccable. First of all, it's a stellar cast of like the two leads. We've got Emilia Clarke, who of course is well known for Games of Thrones, Me Before You, and a few other movies. And then we've got Hayley Lou Richardson, who I have loved for years. For years. I feel like until recently, she's still been like pretty unknown. She's definitely done movies, but I feel like White Lotus is where people really start to talk about her. But I loved her in like 5 Feet Apart with Cole Sprouse. I loved her in the movie Unpregnant. That movie I really enjoyed. I did an acting scene from it for a show reel once. And I just think like some of the writing was really good. I just think she's an incredible actor. Having those two at the forefront of this cast and this TV show was brilliant. Emilia Clarke's Russian accent and her, first of all, her American accent as well, because she's English, her Russian accent as well, and then her speaking Russian, I thought was impeccable. I thought it was so good and really convincing. Also, the like rest of the cast were incredible. The guy who played Andre, so terrifying, like gave me chills. He was so convincing for his character. So brilliant, so incredible. So it's called Ponies and it's out on Binge if you want to watch it. It is about the CIA agents who go undercover in Russia and are trying to get secrets from the KGB. So jumping right into today's episode, like I said, we're going to be talking about if you should be selfish or selfless in your 20s. We're going to start with being selfish. I 100% think that yes, you should be selfish in your 20s. I think that your 20s is a great time to prioritize yourself. However, to an extent, I don't think you should be selfish in every areas, but I think that you should put yourself first when it comes to some things. For example, your career. I think your 20s is the time where you don't have as many commitments, as many things holding you back. You're a young adult, like you're allowed to make mistakes. And I think that if you want to go for your career and take the big risks, your 20s is the perfect time to do it. I've said it before on this podcast, but I am someone who has some big dreams and some big goals. I am definitely wanting to get into a career that people say is very unattainable, which I completely understand. But I think that like, I know I want this, and now is the perfect time to go for it. When I'm young, when I've still got time to like save money and recover, when I don't have to be the person other people have to rely on, like I don't have children. I think if I want to like try and be an actor, if I want to try and make it in the creative industry, doing it in your 20s is the perfect time, even if that is selfish. But you do have like less commitments to other people around you. You also have like more flexibility. You're not as restricted in terms of, even like I was going to say in terms of like relationships, but I was also going to say like health. Like normally you're pretty fit and young, like it's the perfect time to live on less sleep, to hustle at goals, to make big risks and life changes, especially if like you're privileged enough that you have a space to come back to. And like if shit hits the fan, like you know you'll have people backing you and supporting you and there for you. So I 100% think that you should like be selfish in terms of your career. Also, if you're a woman who like knows that one day, yeah, they want to have children or want to have a family, I think you feel the pressure to like get shit done at a younger age. because you know you have a body clock. You know that there'll be a time in your life where you have to prioritize a family or other people. And yes, like I understand it's 2026 and women now can like have children and work, and sometimes they're not the stay-at-home parent, but still in terms of like society, most women are the ones who have to give up careers. I have a friend and she's an actor, and we had a conversation, and I think she's doing amazing in this industry. Like she's kind of got into it a little bit later and now she's trying to hustle in it. And I'm like, I think you're smashing it. And she was like, I feel like I have the pressure because I'm in my 30s. Like if I want children, like I kind of have to make this a career rather than just like a hobby sooner rather than later. And I can see that because it is like such a big thing to like switch careers when you're in your 30s and to try something new. But like good on her for going for it. And I feel that too. Like I'm like, well, I want to be an actor. Let's try and make some foundations now in my 20s. Because even if I don't make it, or even if it doesn't go the way I planned, I still tried. And like I really think that you have to try everything you want. Like I'd rather look back and be like, oh, I failed at that, than be like, oh, I regret not trying. The other areas where I think you should be selfish in your 20s is your relationships. Now, I don't mean like if you're in a relationship, think all about yourself and not care about the other person. But I mean like you need to invest your time, your energy into good relationships and really only keep the ones that are serving you. I have definitely had to leave behind people who I realized were like wasting my energy, ruining my mental health. And I just think like I'm so young, like I don't need shit people around me in terms of like I have time to make new friends. I'd rather be on my own. Like don't invest your time and energy into people who treat you like shit. Don't do it. If you're dating and you're like starting something new with someone and you just feel like they're not giving you what you want, cut it off, move on. You're young, you can find someone new. If you're like in a relationship but it's just not working, like I just feel like you need to know when things need to change and you can like switch life up again. I am currently in a relationship and I'm in it because it's a really good relationship, because I love my partner, because they're supportive of my dreams, my goals, of everything I want to do, and vice versa. Like I think you need to lift other people up, and like if that person was treating me badly or I just like wasn't in it, I wouldn't be in the relationship. I really think your 20s, you should invest time into like good relationships, or like be by yourself and figure stuff out on your own as well. I think that's important to know yourself. Your 20s is all about like figuring yourself out. I think that unfortunately life does get harder the older you get with relationships. Like if you're in a romantic relationship and it's not working as well as you hope, it's harder to leave when there's a marriage, when there's children. And I totally understand that. But like if you're young and you just feel like, oh, it's not working, or like it's not good for you, like you know it's toxic, you should get out and just invest in only good relationships. That is both like platonic relationships and romantic relationships. The next area of where I think you can be selfish is in your personal growth. I really do think that sometimes with like personal growth, you have to prioritize you. And these kind of link to like all relationships and careers and stuff. Like personal growth is a little bit of everything. But I think like when you're in your 20s and when you do stuff by yourself, you kind of realize what you need to make you like a better person or to keep you going and not burn out. So work out what that is and then make sure you're prioritizing it and being selfish. For example, I feel like I'm in someone who needs 8 hours of sleep. So I try to make sure I roughly get that. If that's, you know, if I stay out really late one night, I allow myself that I can then sleep in the next morning. Or if I know I'm working really early, I try and go to sleep at a reasonable time so I still sleep enough, which means like I might not watch a movie at nighttime. As I said as well, like I'm someone who's hustling in a career that is very self-motivating, which means that like I need to prioritize time to put effort into creative things. I need to make time to like do my podcast. So if I'm a little bit behind on my schedule, for example, I'm filming on Saturday, this drops tomorrow. If I had a friend be like, let's hang out today, I'd have to be like, no, I can't, because like I have to do this podcast. Also, like same with acting, like I try to prioritize stuff during the week to make sure like I have time to act. I literally work like a part-time job so that I have free time to put my like motivation, my energy, my time, my money into my career so that I can like grow and work on that. which links to both career but like personal growth. So I just think like some areas of personal growth, you can absolutely be selfish. I want to give an example of being selfish because I don't think being selfish is bad. Like, let me get that clear. I don't think that like, unless you're like always being selfish and like only thinking about yourself and really stuck up and like have a big ego, like I don't think being selfish is a bad thing. I think you can be selfish in healthy ways, which is what I'm kind of like discussing today. But I'll give you an example. This year, I am planning to move, and that means like I'm moving out of home. I'm not moving for a really long time, but it's also like a little while, enough that like things will change. I'll probably grow up. Other people around me will grow up. Like there'll be a shift, right? And you could be an outsider looking in and being like, that's really selfish. Like I've got a boyfriend, for example, been dating for 3 years, and now we're going to have to do a long distance relationship for 6 months. That's pretty selfish. Like I'm putting my career and my life over like our life together. I've also got a really good friendship group, which means like I won't be around for like their time. I'm also missing like everyone's birthday. Like we all have birthdays at the end of the year. So I'm missing my own birthday, missing my boyfriend's birthday, missing my mom's, my brother's, my friends, like everyone. So like you could look at it in a friendship way and be like, well, that's really selfish. She's like choosing to move at a time where like lots of people have celebrations and she'll be like missing out, and like what if her friends need her? I'm going to have to leave a job. Selfish, right? Like putting things behind me. But I think that like people who know me know that I'm doing this because I'm trying to make it in this career. I'm going for a career reason. And not that you need like a massive reason either. Like if you're someone who like wants to travel, like I traveled for 2 months last year, people could say, well, that's selfish. Like again, I left my boyfriend for 2 months. But I think that like you can know when to do stuff for yourself. And this was something where it's like, this is a big thing for me, but I'm still like, I want to like do this. And I have people around me who are so supportive. If that's my family, if that's my boyfriend, my friends, and all of them are backing me, being like, you should 100% do this. Like, this is for you. This is the right thing to do. Which I think shows that like, if you're selfish in the right ways, I think it just shows that you can be selfish in healthy ways, and you can still be selfish and like support other people and like show up in selfless ways. So that's what I want to talk about now. I want to talk about how you can be more selfless. As a society, I do think we need to be a bit more selfless. I don't know if you're ever on social media these days, especially like TikTok, but someone will post a video and it will be like a recipe of how to make this dinner. And it will be like, so you put like a can of beans in, and then someone will comment, what about me? I don't like beans. That is so selfish. And you could just substitute it for potato. You could not comment. You could find something else that aligns with you. Like, I think that with how algorithms work and how everything revolves around you on like social media, and you should be seeing everything that you like, when you come across something that like doesn't revolve around you or isn't for you, people can take that to so much heart and you look so selfish. You should just go touch some grass and like get over it, because the world doesn't revolve around you and you need to learn to be a bit more selfless. And I think also like these days, we're promoting a lot of self-care, and don't get me wrong, I promote self-care too on this podcast before. I think it's really important to like prioritize yourself. I've said that in the first part of this podcast, like there's areas where I think you should be selfish, your career, your relationships, even like personal growth, but to an extent. I also think you should learn to be selfless, and you should do things that you don't want to sometimes. And sometimes when you want to like cancel plans and stay in, I actually think you should get out of your house and go see your friends and go to that event that was organized and show up, because number one, it might make you happier and out of a mood, and number two, life can be a bitch, and like you have to get through things, you have to do things, and you can't make everything about yourself, because then you really will become self-obsessed and you really like won't know the difference and know that like not everything's about you, and you'll seem like an egotistic person who comments on people's posts like, what about me? And you don't want to become that person. So I think we need to be a little bit more selfless as a society. And you can do this in healthy ways as well. I want to talk about an article that I've read, which was called, You Should Always Go to the Funeral. I've come across this article before. I haven't found it myself, but I've read it a few times, and I think it's really good. It talks about doing small inconveniences that like for you means pretty much nothing, but for the other person means everything. And that's what I mean about being a bit more selfless. This article I am going to link to my show notes, so feel free to read it yourself. It's a super easy read, literally like 3 to 5 minutes. But I am going to give you some quotes as well. And the premise of this whole entire article is saying that she didn't want to go to a funeral as a kid, and she kind of learned that like you really always should. Some quotes are, always go to the funeral. Means I have to do the right thing when I really, really don't feel like it. The daily battle hasn't been between good versus evil. It's hardly so epic. Most days, my real battle is doing good versus doing nothing. I think that quote is so important because it's saying that like you can do something good or you can just do nothing, and doing nothing isn't the end of the world. Like you're not a bad person, you won't go unnoticed, but if you do something good, people will remember it. She also says, I'm talking about those things that represent only inconvenience to me, but the world to the other guy. Sometimes you will do like the small inconveniences and it makes the other person's entire day. And I truly believe that as someone who has like seen people who like pay attention to certain areas of my life, like it really does mean the world when people like show up, when people care about things you're interested in. And I feel like as a person, I'm really trying to make the conscious effort to like show that I care and to show that I'm listening to like my friends. She ends this article with, on a cold April night 3 years ago, my father died a quiet death from cancer. His funeral was on a Wednesday, a middle of a work week. I had been numb for days when for some reason during the funeral, I turned around and looked back at the folks in the church. The memory of it still takes my breath away. The most human, powerful, and humbling thing I've ever seen was a church at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday full of inconvenienced people who believe in going to the funeral. How nice to know that like people in a work week would rock up for you when like you have to call in sick, you have to get a care certificate, you have to like take time out of your day, like you have to miss the school pickup for your kids, and like showing up to you might be like really small and be like, oh, I don't really want to go. But to the other person means so much. And I think that's really important. And I think that's what I've noticed over this last year. Like I really am trying to like be there for the friends who like want me to rock up for things. Really trying to like pay attention to things people are telling me so I can like check in later. Because I think that like the small inconveniences for me will make other people's days. And I say that as someone who like has been on the opposite end of it. For example, I have this podcast and I love it when I have a friend who's like, oh, I listened to your podcast app. That means so much to me. And for them, it's probably just like a little like, oh, I got to listen to an episode, or like, I guess I should listen to that. But like when you tell me that, like it makes me so happy. Same with like, you don't even have to listen, but if you just know I do it. And like I have people ask me like, how's the podcast going? Like it shows that you're caring. It shows that you're listening. And yeah, it's just really nice. You feel really seen. And I feel like I'm really trying to do that with my friends. And I think that can come in lots of different ways. And it shows that you're being a bit selfless. Like you're really trying to be a better person and show up for people. And sometimes that means skipping out on your self-care nights because your friend needs you and they want to have a night out. So get up and go. I really want to give some examples of how you can do this. First of all, just checking in with friends. I love it when a friend texts me like, how you going? Want to catch up? Or like, how's everything been? I have a few friends where it's like, I know that like if they're going through something, like I should check in. So I like make sure I make the effort. Paying attention to their interests, you know, like asking how their sport is going. If they're playing any games, can you attend any games? Celebrating wins. I have a friend who just got a job actually. And not only did she get a job, it was like a job she wanted. For a company that like she thinks will be really fun, like in her like niche interest. So she texted like our group chat and she's like, guys, I got the job. And straight away I was like, great, when are we doing drinks? When are we celebrating you? Like I want to show up. And like she could have just wrote that text and it could have been just like, okay, congratulations, go girl, which like it is. But I'm like, no, let's make it more of a thing. Like let's go out, let's have a drink, or like let's stay in and have a drink and just talk about it and like be excited for you. Like I think that's great. I think that's amazing. Like celebrating wins, if it's like a career win, if it's a relationship win, if it's personal, like no matter what it is. I have my friends when I started this podcast and they bought me like donuts and they were like, congrats on like doing a podcast. So sweet. This is a hobby for me. And they celebrated it. Attending like shows of your friends are in it. I have a few acting friends, going to their plays. I have a friend who does burlesque. I haven't gone to every performance, but I've been to 2 and like, it's great. And like, it feels nice, I'm sure, when she's up on stage and she knows that people in the audience supporting her. Remembering the little things. I had a friend as well who was like going for a job interview, and I remember like I was like, make sure you text her after the job interview. So I did. I was like, how did it go? She gave me a phone call because she wanted to talk about it. Sticking to commitments. If you planned an event, if you planned a night out, attend it. If it's you planned it, 2 days before, or if you planned it 5 months before, I think you should like show up. I really do. I think that you should be the most selfless in your everyday life. You should be the most selfless in your relationships, which is odd because I know I said be selfish in your relationships, but I think that if you have good friendships and you are putting energy and time into relationships that are serving you, you should also be serving them and be selfless back. And it kind of works like hand in hand. And I just think it's really important. And if you do things like that, you'll notice how strong your friendships are. You'll notice how strong your romantic relationships are. This whole entire podcast episode actually started because I was thinking of an idea, and my boyfriend, who is so supportive of me, if it's my big career dreams or if it's just like my small little podcast hobby, I was like discussing ideas with him, and he was like, as a joke, he was like, should you go to your boyfriend's extracurricular activities? Because he had a basketball game that night and he was wondering if I wanted to go. And straight away it clicked in my head, like, yeah, we should talk about if you should be selfish or selfless. And I don't go to every basketball game, but I feel like in that moment, I made a mental note, like, I'm going to attend more basketball games. This is going to so come back and bite me in the butt because he plays 5 times a week. But like, I'm serious. Like, I feel like I should go to more games because I know that he likes when I attend them. He's told me, I love when you come to a game. Great. So I'm going to show up more often. And I think that like, that's an hour and a half out of my day, which like, yeah, can be like a little inconvenient if I like, I'm tired after work, or if I want to stay home, or if I've got to be up early. Like, it can be a little inconvenient, but it means the world to him. So I should absolutely be there. That's what being selfless is. And then being selfish is putting yourself first for your big dreams and putting your time and energy into your personal growth and your relationships that are serving you. But that means you have to be selfless back so that you don't become like a self-obsessed person. I don't know if that made any sense. I feel like it went back and forth, but I think it's really important. Okay, I'm also going to give you a few examples, and then I'm going to tell you if I think you should be selfish or selfless. Your friend cancels plans and asks to reschedule. This is the 3rd time they've done it. I think you can be selfish. I don't really keep flaky friends, to be honest with you. I've had a few in the past, and life got so much better as soon as I cut them out because I didn't realize how like toxic it is. And don't get me wrong, like there's always like certain circumstances, like if they've got something major going on in their life, absolutely, you can like be there for them and like give them space. But if they're just like always canceling last minute, I think you should probably cut them out of your life. But if you don't do that, I think you should be selfish and be like, sure, I'll catch up with you, but like 2 weeks time on a Tuesday night. If you're canceling on a Saturday night for like the 3rd time, I'm not giving you another Saturday night. I can go see other friends. That's a big night of the week. Like, I'm not going to waste it on you if I don't know you're going to attend. You can have my Tuesday where if you cancel, it's not a big deal. You're invited to a party that only 7 people were invited to. You don't know anyone, so you feel like it's going to be lame. I think you should be selfless. I think you should go. I think that if you're anyone who's ever like hosted a party and there's not that many people, and then like less people rock up, it can feel like a bit sad, and it can be a bit like, oh, there's no one like me. I think that like you pay attention to the people who keep coming. Like you pay attention to your friends who always like hang out with you. You pay attention to the friends who are rocking up to things. So I think that like, even though for you it might be a bit lame or like not like the best night and you could be doing something else, if you've got nothing else on or you haven't committed to anything else, yeah, I think that you should absolutely rock up and support that friend and show that like you can have a good time with like literally 7 people, because you can. Your friends text you last minute invite to come out. I think you can be selfish. I think that even though I'm all about like seeing your friends, if it's a last minute thing, I think you can have a bit of a more leeway to be like, can I actually do this right now? Do I need to prioritize my mental health? Do I have something on tomorrow that's important? Do I need to get something done that's like career driven? I think last minute things, you can absolutely be a bit more selfish and just work out that day if it's right for you. If you've booked it 3 weeks in advance, you better be giving enough notice if you need to cancel. Also, if you do need to cancel something like last minute and you've got a reason, I always try to be like, I can't do tonight, but I'm free like on the weekend, or I'm free this time. So that you like show that you care and like you want to hang out. It's just now's not the right time. A friend asked you to move house with them or help you move house. I think you should be selfless and absolutely help. I think that's like one of those small inconvenient things where like might not be your favorite thing to do, might have to give up an afternoon, but it means a lot to the people moving. Like shows that you are good friends. I think like normally if you're asked to move a house too, like you're one of their close friends, that's such a privilege. That is such a privilege if someone's like, can you help me move a house? Yeah, I can. Like I haven't had to do that yet, but I think that it's like such a nice thing to be asked. And you should rock up and help them out. Same with like when I was researching this, I came across an idea. It was like offering to help a friend pack for a move, and I thought that was so fun. I was like, yeah, like I have to move soon, and like if my girls want to help me pack my suitcase to work out what I should bring and what I shouldn't bring, 100%, I might ask them, and we'll see if they say yes, if they are down for a small inconvenience for them. Prioritizing your hobbies. I think you can be selfish. I think that sometimes hobbies, even if it's not a career thing, like you can absolutely put yourself first. For example, this podcast is a hobby for me, and I do have times where I'm like, I'm doing this day during the week and I'm filming. Like I need to film this day, especially like today's Saturday, like it comes out tomorrow. I was like, I have to do this. Not that I had plans today, like because I made my plans around this, but I do think that, yeah, you can be selfish and be like, I have to do this podcast and put that out because that's my hobby. Or like if your hobby is, you know, going for a surf and like, you know, you want to surf this day, absolutely be selfish. You can invest your time and energy into hobbies. That's really important. Going home from a night out when you've had enough. I actually think this is selfless. Some people might think it's selfish because it's like, why are you bailing early? But I think if you've made the effort to come out and for whatever reason you feel like you have to just bounce early, if that's, you're not in the right headspace mentally, if you're tired, if you've got a really important commitment tomorrow, I think it's selfless because you've made the effort to come out. You could have cancelled. You could have been like, I'm not going. But if you've like come out for a few hours, or even if it's like swapped another way where it's like, girls I know are supposed to go out to like the city, but like, I just feel like I could do a night in tonight. That's also like selfless in terms of like, yeah, you're not bailing. You're just needing to do something different. What's right for you. 100% down for that. 100% down to change plans as long as they're like still happening. I love a night in, and like me and my girls have had times where it's like, actually, do you reckon we could just do like a movie night? And that's like, yeah, absolutely we can. If that's like you mentally don't want to go out or like it's too expensive, either or, like I do think still committing but just changing plans up a bit, 100% okay. It's still a selfless act. Buying a small gift when someone has good or bad news. This is selfless. I think it's really sweet. I understand gifts are money, so like it doesn't have to happen all the time. But I feel like when you put a little bit of effort in for something that's like important to your friends, or like, you know, it can be a homemade gift. I just feel like it does make a difference. I went to a party last year for a friend, and it was one of those things where it was like, I kind of knew I didn't have to get a present, if that makes sense. Like we weren't doing like presents that year, and like I absolutely bought a present, and like she texted me like, you didn't have to get me anything. I was like, yeah, of course I did. Like you invited me to your house, like I got to attend your birthday party. Like it wasn't the most expensive gift, but it was something to show like I care about our friendship, and something little that you'll like. Again, with like if someone buys you like flowers for something small, like sometimes my boyfriend will buy me flowers, absolutely love, like so nice. I just think it's really sweet. I have friends who like have made me little things. That's so sweet, and that's like cheap, like you don't have to cost money. But yeah, I definitely think like if you have the means to, buying a small gift, or even writing like a little card. Like I'm such a card person, or sending that message after you hang out with someone being like, I loved seeing you today, like when are we catching up again? I think small things like that is so selfless and like really make a friendship strong, really show that you care, and can be like make the other person feel really, really good. And that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do think like in your 20s, you go through lots of different life chapters, lots of things changes. So there will be times where you're more selfish and there will be times where you're more selfless. But I don't think you need to be like a pushover and a people pleaser and say yes to everything and like bend backwards for people. And I also don't think you need to stay at home every time and only think about yourself and, you know, only make the right calls. I think there has to be sacrifices as well. And I think it's just about a healthy balance of doing a little bit of both, of knowing when to prioritize yourself, if that's for your career, that's for your mental health, and when to like be there for other people, to support them in their careers, to support them in their relationships, to just be a good friend. And I think it's a bit of a mixture of both. But put your energy and time into things that are serving you, and make sure that you're around people who are serving you back. If you go the extra little mile to check in with friends, to care about things, to support people around you, if that's strangers, friends, family, I do think that like people will show up more for you and you'll have a better support system. Let me know if you think there's anything I missed, or an area where you're like, oh, you should 100% be selfish in your 20s, or like you should be 100% selfless. I'd love to know. But that's what I've got for you guys today. Please hit subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast. It's on YouTube with video form, and it's on Spotify with audio. If you're feeling generous, subscribe to both. Share the podcast episode with a friend. Someone else might need to like hear about if they need to be more selfish. Like some people are too selfless. So let them know, or tell them to rein it back in and like be a better friend. I don't know about you and your relationships, but yeah, share it with someone. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Yapping Fever to hear about all the podcast highlights. And you can follow my personal Instagram at Tamara.Barton and my TikTok at Tamara.Barton to stay up to date with everything in my life. I also talk about the podcast. I talk about my career. It's a good time. You don't want to miss out. Trust me. Thank you so much for listening today. I'll be back in your ears in a fortnight. Bye.